Welcome to Top Tier Recording podcast where we ask an artist, a musician, a band to come in, play 4 original songs for us, and we talk about their past, their present, what's going on, where they're going, where they're from, how they got together, and all those things that are. Tonight, our special guest, it's a very, very needed band for me tonight. Today was kind of hectic. It's been like a power outage here, a tree down in the hill, running around, last second. Like sitting in DMVs and then all kinds of stuff today that's been like, and a little bit, so much so that generally I have co-hosts and Spencer here on the switcher. I told him, hey, don't come. Actually, we were going to have our first ever intern here tonight, which would have been cool as hell because I put kids to work, right? I guess I was going to, who knows? I don't even know what we're doing. But anyway, crazy day. And we finally got settled in, and this group worked with me to let me kind of be hectic and then maybe a little crabby while we got set up. And then all of a sudden, we got into the music. By the second song, they just settled me. It's an instrumental band. I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's called rock instrumental. Something like that was in the description. What was in the description?
Elegant instrumental.
There you go. Elegant instrumental rock, which is totally on spot. Put me at ease and put me right in the spot to do this interview tonight. Our guest tonight, on Top Recording, in Lightning. All right, so Ben, tell me how we got to the point where we're in this room today. Your music, tell us from there.
Yeah, so I started Enlightening in 2013. I had written these songs, instrumental songs, notated out parts, and got to a point where I needed to find musicians to play them with me. So over 10 years ago now, two of those musicians that we started with are Ben Taylor, our brass player, and John Marietta, our cellist, have been with me from the very beginning. Enlightening had a pretty productive time in Louisville all through the 2010s. And like, I think a lot of projects, like 2020 kind of threw a wrench in us, and we just haven't had a consistent group since 2020 until right around like November. We solidified with Jenny and Owen joining the band. So yeah, it's been very exciting after kind of a struggle for a couple of years, not really knowing, kind of feeling directionless for a couple of years. It's exciting to be getting back to it and having gigs and feeling motivated and writing new songs and feeling really proud of it, yeah.
So when Enlightening formed, was it, you already have bass, horn, cello, even when it kind of skinnied down and you guys were you can still do stuff in that instrumentation, right? I mean, is that stuff that maybe...
I would kind of say no, honestly.
Really?
We have played shows missing a person or two, but like the way the music's composed, it's all very like interlocked. Preference is we want every part covered. Like, it's kind of composed like to sound like an orchestra, but the smallest version of an orchestra we can do, which is like one on a part.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So when you guys started 10 years ago or so, before Owen and Jenny joined in November and started kind of getting this thing back going again in the right direction, or in the direction that you want it to be going in.
Yeah.
Was the instrumentation the same? Was it always kind of broken down in this is what I hear or this is the parts that I'm writing? Was it always the same type of thing, or has that evolved over time?
It has evolved. The original instrumentation was 8 members, 2 violins, French horn, cello, bass, guitar, keyboard, and drums. So kind of like a string quartet with a rock quartet was the original idea, but then I wanted a brass instrument too, so brought in a brass instrument instead of one of the strings. So that was the original thing. We started with 8 people back in 2012, 13 when we first started getting together and rehearsing. And this new era, part of what needed to happen to... I've been using the phrase, in order to grow, we had to prune some branches. So ended up deciding to go with no drums and no guitar.
Addition by subtraction.
Yeah. To kind of give us some legs and some the ability to have some consistency and momentum again. And that has also led to rearranging the songs and optimizing them for this instrumentation, where we lost, of course, a drum set, which is a big deal to your sound, and we lost a rhythm section instrument, but also a lead potential instrument and a guitar. But yeah, the rearrangement and the excellence of everyone in this band, like we're proud of how it sounds this way.
Well, it's interesting to add 2 new pieces, which tell you how good and how well that Jenny and Owen fit in what you're doing, because you're subtracting parts, but you solidify it when you put these members in the band. I mean, how does that feel as new member? I mean, you're not new members anymore, so it's not. I don't mean new members, but the newest members of the band coming in and kind of finding your way with the Bens and John. And trying to, when you start as an 8-piece and you start subtracting stuff, and I imagine it sounds big, especially for the 3 members that have been there, how big things can be, what type of movements and sounds you can make, and then by pruning those branches to go, it fits, but it doesn't. It's just something, and then find these pieces that still make it big, but in a smaller way. There has to be something to that fit. So how, when you all came in, did you feel that from these guys that something just was clicking?
Yeah, I did actually get to perform one gig with the full band with drums, guitar. I was actually just entered as a sub for a friend who was going to be playing these gigs with them. And then, they're just a group of goofy guys that are really fun to play music with. And I feel like we all got along really well, really quickly. It's also been fun seeing how Ben has transformed his music to fit this group. Like, I felt he asked me a lot of questions about things that I was capable of doing on the violin. I feel like this music is like really tailored individually to us as well as musicians and how we play specifically. So it's been a really fun journey for me to get to see just the evolution of this group from the past just few months. Yeah.
What about you, Owen? Do you see that kind of in the same vein?
I started the same. Were we both subbing that concert?
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were subbing that day. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were kind of the permanent. So I guess we both was... Okay, yeah, so we were both pulled in to help out on this concert that was,
that was
Jenny
the inconsistent era of the band.
You mentioned it. There you go.
So yeah, that was with the drums and the guitar and everything. And, rehearsals were good, but when we did that gig, I was just blown away by the energy. It was like, wow, this is so cool. So when Ben asked me, we kind of like you, can you stay? I was like, yeah, absolutely. But then, pruning it down like this, it's a different thing now. It maybe doesn't quite have that energy and noise that it used to, but now instead we've got the detail that you can hear that you didn't used to be able to, and appreciate Ben's fabulous gift for composition and arranging.
Yeah.
When you hear all these little things that he's put in, that is so cool. So yeah.
Well, and it also, kind of, you can still have that intensity, because the moments that were where you all were locking up on phrasing and some of the things that you were playing, that's you still are creating that intenseness, even on a small scale, but it still feels big, emotionally, maybe more so than just as noise.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, I would say that we still achieve more or less everything that an ear wants to hear.
Oh yeah.
With our rhythm, and with our melody, without drums and without guitar. It's been a fun challenge for me as the bass player. There's more on me being our drummer in a lot of ways.
Totally.
And I would say that it kind of turned, so I'm proud of how we're achieving that feel of rhythm. What I might say is the sound of the band transformed a little bit from previously sounding like a rock band with orchestral instruments in it to now sounding more like a classical outfit with a rock bass guitarist. It kind of just shifted in that kind of way.
Yeah, that's interesting that you do say that. Because I can understand where you're coming from when you say that. Especially your style of bass playing is very, I don't know, you got a lot of funk. And not only rock, but you do a lot of stuff with slap that does give it a different feel, and it gives you a versatility that a lot of maybe classical musicians wouldn't bring to the table or wouldn't use, because they wouldn't just let that be what it is and let it feel that groove. And you're right, you're totally holding down a drum. When you do stuff like that, you're holding down the beats. And it's interesting and noticeable to me that John and you have been together for as long as you have, because how well you guys connect and lock up, you can hear it in every string that you pluck and every note that you play. There's something about string instruments that have been playing together, that know each other more than just musicians, that know each other more than just what they're going to play or where they're going to go. It's about feel. It's about, is he getting ready to play this note real soft? What's getting ready to happen on this next thing? Because the eye contact, there's so many variations and things that play to that, but you can also feel it when you have that tightness in what you two do that really kind of holds down the band. With your writing and what, I just think it locks, everybody else can kind of flavor it because that relationship, it feels like so much deeper than a couple of stringed instruments, which is awesome.
A change that I noticed when we went from a 7-piece band with drums and guitar to just this, instead of feeling like a rock band, it felt more like, in the classical world, we call it chamber music. So like a small ensemble, maybe 4 or 5 players, string players, piano, etc. And that's more my wheelhouse. That's my educational experience in music. So to me, it feels more like I'm paying more attention to those nuances as opposed to trying to line up with the drum, because the drum is,
there you go.
The drum is right. Even if when the drum's wrong, the drum's right, so go with the drum.
100%.
And so that's been a nice change for me in both how I approach this and, how the music sounds.
So have you noticed, has it been a noticeable change for you in the compositions and the way the music is going since the switch over from that? Has it changed as, I guess for both of you guys, actually, both being in it for as long as that you have you, other than the music changing, have you noticed the change in Ben and going, all right, this is changing and let's just see where it goes. Let's not force things. And as a group, do you all ever talk about hey, we're heading in this direction, let's keep going, or do you just see where it goes?
Yeah, I think you have to talk about it because, communication. And I mean, if you're going to have a 10-year relationship with somebody, which is basically what it is, if you're seeing somebody every week, sometimes multiple times a week, it's you kind of got to agree on some things. So, I mean, Ben's been really great about always involving us and asking questions and, asking for our opinions and offering for us to contribute in multiple ways. And that's been really awesome from a, just a relationship standpoint and being friends and being able to hang out outside of band practice. But as far as the music goes, I mean, one of the songs we played tonight is probably 10 years old, at least. Zipper.
Yeah, Zipper was in the first batch of songs.
The same as it was.
Yeah.
It's still a bop. So I love that. It's one of my favorite songs that we play. And but some of them, the new music that has been written, there was a couple eras. There was kind of the first stuff, and then a few years later he wrote a bunch more songs that we learned. And then one song that we didn't play tonight, Apocalypse, from this era, that's just written for these 5 people with no drums or guitar parts at all. So it's it's interesting to see how it's evolved, but really, I think that ultimately it's a lot of just him. It's pretty much, it's not the same by any means, but it's got his flavor to it. All of it does.
I will also say though, Ben is a very meticulous composer, and I really like that. He knows exactly what he wants. Yeah. And for me, that's a great thing because...
I was going to say, that is awesome to hear somebody say that, because it goes... I think it can go either way. And if you don't understand that as somebody who is a writer or has a vision... If you have a vision, and it sounds like, Ben, you have a vision for this stuff, you really know what you want. Maybe not, I don't know if you compose note for note. I don't know how you do it.
I do.
All right, so when you have a vision for this stuff, you want people that don't fight that vision, that you not necessarily don't want to contribute and don't do, but I think if there's a framework for something, you know what you're looking for, and it's nice to hear somebody say, look, I want to be told what you want me to do. I want to make what you hear be heard. And I think that's spectacular. I really do. I don't think it's maybe it is on. Is something that happens a lot, but I don't think I've heard that much.
Well, I think for one, that's a classical music thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all classically trained, so we're used
you
to
give
that.
us some Beethoven or some Mozart, and it's like, okay, well, you're not going to change it now.
There's one way to do it.
Like, it's not. He's not just giving us like, okay, let's play a G chord and then a D chord, and then we're going to go to this chord. It's like, first of all, it's a lot more complicated than that in a lot of ways. And sometimes it doesn't sound that way, but it is a lot more complicated in like how he creates the transitions from one part of the song to the next. And then the form of the song is a whole nother element. It's not just verse, chorus, verse, and then you're done. Like there's sometimes 3 or 4 different sections. And sometimes, you've got repeated sections, but not always. So I think that it's just a different type of music than you might hear in like a folk band or a rock band, where it's like, we're going to play these 4 chords and then I'm going to sing over it,
Yep.
Yeah. There's also some songs that follow verse, chorus, bridge, outro, So there's a lot of influence in the way the songs are written. I will say, I knew that I mentioned in the very beginning, I wrote these songs, I had this sheet music to pass out, and I needed to recruit musicians. I knew that I needed classically trained musicians. A good example, so like the strings and the brass player, like I came up in orchestra myself, so that's where all this kind of comes from, is my exposure to that. I was playing upright bass all through orchestra with cello and violin and viola. But just to kind of point out that difference, over the years, every once in a while needing a sub to play piano for us, there's classically trained pianists and there's jazz pianists. And there's some ripping jazz pianists that are not the right fit for what I need. If I put down the very busy piano parts that I write in front of a jazz pianist, like that's not what they're there to do. But if I were to put down a lead sheet in front of them, then that's where they shine. So yeah, it's just a different kind of musician that this band requires, I think.
Yeah, I'm wearing. Is this a Louisville hat?
Yeah.
All right, so Pat Kelsey's forming his team right now, and evidently he's forming a real nice team, and that's what he bases his logic on. I'm looking for pieces. I'm looking for specific things. Sorry to go basketball on y'all, but hey, that's what's up. All right. So it's interesting and important to understand that philosophy. I mean, I think that's when you can build something special like you have built here with these amazing musicians and players and people. I think that's when you really start getting to that sweet spot, coming out of that period where you went through that lull and you guys were, who knows what was going on. It was pandemic time. It was 2020. It was this and that, falling apart, back together again. Who the hell knows? Getting through that to the other side where we are now. I think the biggest shift that I see like in this room is music is becoming, I don't know, like that period got people through it with, playing music and writing music. And there's so much good stuff coming out right now, lyrically, musically, instrumentally. I mean, it's just, do you all think that little period of time shifted art in a way that we'll see and really understand in 15 years from now? That's a real question. I really don't know.
I have an answer for myself. So I'm a musician and I teach yoga classes. So when that summer and fall of 2020 happened, both of those things that I do are things that invite people to gather. So both of those things got taken away. So it was a bit of a year of like, what am I doing with my life now? And something I learned about myself is that, okay, take the pursuit of gigs away and the pursuit of the music business stuff away. What was I doing? I was learning a new instrument. So like I was learning ukulele and getting good at ukulele during that time. Nice. Put my bass down for a while and got good at ukulele. And so for me, what that affirmed for myself is like, oh, I'm going to be a musician no matter what.
Just kind of dug in.
What's that?
Just digging into musicians and being that even more so?
Like whether there's an audience to play for or not, whether there's a gig to rehearse for or not, I'm a musician. Like I'm just gonna be like, if this was back in more ancient or classical times, like I'm a bard, I'm going to be the guy sitting there with some kind of instrument, whatever I would figure out to play it.
The lute.
Yeah, sure. So that was a nice thing to have learned about myself during that time, I would say. And I imagine a lot of other artists went through a similar thing of like, what am I doing with my life? And, I imagine a lot of similar answers came out. Like I'm making art. Yeah,
that's very well thought out and said. Interesting. I never thought about that, but you're making me think about myself too. Because I'm going, okay. During that time, I was playing a lot of guitar. I did have a broken foot, so I didn't have shit to do but sit around and play guitar. So I think that counts.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. So. What's the next 6 months look like for y'all? What's the future? Where's the steps heading for Enlightening?
Very excited to record this new era of the band. We do have an album that's out and available on all the places, Spotify, that I'm proud of. It's with drums and guitar too. But yeah, so far, I would say this year has been about getting good at these kind of new arrangements of the songs, getting good at performing them. Something I will say that as I pass out the sheet music, so I write the songs, but we edit them together. So in rehearsal, and at gigs, these songs evolve a little bit over time. So it's been good to give them some time to evolve. Little things where, for example, whether just little measures here and there, little notes here and there that actually just the fingering of this is inconvenient, or can we do it this way? And I need them to do that because I don't play their instruments. I'm familiar with the string instruments and I write on piano, but what I put on the page is what a bass player writes to put on a page, a composer writes to put on a page. So I need to work with them to make it the best it can be for them as a player and on their instrument. I write the songs, but we edit them together.
Yeah.
So anyway, get back to that question. We've been editing the songs together in this period of like I said, getting good at the songs, getting good at performing them, and excited to get ready to record and put a new album out.
How many songs y'all have ready?
I think it is 18.
Oh yeah, dude!
And,
you already?
There's 7 more in the back pocket right now.
If you need us to play for 2 hours.
You want a double album?
And then we also have a decent collection of cover songs that we've arranged that are kind of special cover songs too, because we're still an instrumental band.
Oh, dude!
But we're covering. We're covering songs that have vocals in them, but doing it our way. It's cool.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man! So, new. We need to put some pressure on you to get this thing done. I mean, we can't just we want to. You really need to get this done, man. 18 songs. What are we waiting for?
Getting good at it.
Well. No need to do that. I think you're ready.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
I'll say right now we clearly suck.
Yeah. I mean, what the heck's going on around here?
Well, we've needed this period of time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always good. You said since November, adding the last 2 pieces with Owen and Jenny, getting that to really gel and feel like it's right in your brain, and with all these 18 songs, it's a big task. A lot of tunes to get crystallized and make sure that you're polished off and ready to roll. I imagine that it's going to be ridiculously good when it's all said and done.
Thank you. That's the goal for sure.
And, I thought I was doing a pretty good job playing my parts for these pieces, these songs, but then spending some time, like we spent probably a whole rehearsal just working on one song, if not several rehearsals, just doing one song over and over and over. It made me realize that I was not doing a good job.
It really is.
You just realize there's detail involved here that I was just kind of blowing right past it. So, and like the ability to synchronize ourselves very nicely and balance the parts. So yeah, there's certainly in my case, there's been a lot of room for improvement.
Well, when it's an instrumental, a lot of times words hide, like you said, music. Sometimes you G, C, D, C, D, C, G. That's a tune. I mean, it's real simple to do that and hide lyrics and a melody, a good melody line, and catch those ears and do all that stuff. When you take that away and it's about just musicians playing their instruments, finding those spots to lock up and finding those intimate details in those runs and in those melody lines that you play, and breaking it down one song for, I'm sure, 2.5, 3 hour practice or however long it was, really, really nails home what needs to be happening in all those little instances.
That speaks to the chamber music that John commented about. Like, there's a lot of things that this instrumentation, this group can do that I wouldn't say a rock band can't do, but like just with dynamics and expression, there's a lot. I mean, that's chamber music. That's what makes it, like, your ability to play dynamically together. That's what Owen's speaking to. And after 2 hours of just playing the same song over and over and listening to it back, we just hear those opportunities to do more and more. Yeah.
The goal also, I think, for any classical musician is for it to sound like a recording live. So, like, if you go see the Louisville Orchestra or the New York Philharmonic or whatever, orchestra you go see, you're expecting it to be excellent.
Yeah.
So, I think that's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Play live. And if it's, I mean, obviously it's never going to be perfect, but if it's not excellent, we want to keep pushing for that and to keep pushing for perfection, even though we know we can't achieve it. So
yeah, I think with most instances of live music versus recorded music, I think that the audience wants honesty. Don't put a bunch of crap on the record and fool me with dressing. I want to know what you sound like. It was part of the reasoning for why we do what we do in this room with the music. We want people to know what these amazing musicians, writers, bands sound like. And we want you to hear it in true, honest form. There's no dressing it up. When you stick a mic in a room and you go, all right, start playing, there's nothing you can do to hide it. It's a stereo ribbon mic. Owen's seen it. He took a picture. He knows what it looks like, and he's going to get one, I'm sure. And you're going to love it because it is the truest. It's a true representation once you set that thing in the room of what you sound like. You can't bullcrap it. You can't fake it. And I think that's what audiences want. I think they want to be able to go listen to you and feel exactly what they feel when they hear you on that record and hear what they hear when they hear that record. If the bands that I always loved the most were the ones that when I showed up and watched them play, they were better live than they're awesome than the record that I already loved. Or the record I didn't know about, and then I listened to the record, it's like, oh my gosh, they're so much better live. But the live, that experience, if you can translate that over from what you are doing with the writing and this next 18 to 25 songs with the 7 in the pocket thing that's going to come out, man, it's going to be special. So definitely looking forward to it.
Thank you. That gives me 2 thoughts to share.
Yeah.
One is to give people an idea of perhaps like what inspires the writing of this music. Well, how do I want to get there? Let's see. So one of my favorite bands of all time, who's a huge influence on this, is a band called Rat-a-tat that writes groovy, melodic, instrumental music. And I fell in love with them when I first heard them, and I think it's brilliant. And but I saw them live, and it's just two guys performing with a bunch of backing tracks, this very rich music. So I was underwhelmed. Like, I love them so much, but the live show was underwhelming to me because it was so much pre-recorded stuff. So that experience of seeing Rat-a-tat live influenced me when I was choosing, back before the band was even a band, and I was writing songs. I suppose you could say I had a choice. Do I want to involve other musicians, bandmates, or do I want to write all this stuff digitally? And yeah, seeing Rat-a-tat, this band I admired so much, and feeling underwhelmed by their live show drove me to choose, I want all of this stuff to be performed live. So yeah, that was a path to have chosen. Like,
nice choice.
Yeah, there's
Definitely
pros
like
and
your
cons to
choice.
both. One of the cons revealed itself when over the years, and the way of like struggling with bandmates and struggling with
Relationships,
consistency,
man.
right? Yeah.
Relationships.
So that's a con to choosing this way, but ultimately I'm proud and I still agree that this is what I want. I want to put on a live. I want this music to be performed live for an audience. And man, I might not even remember what my other thought was.
The number one was so good, I don't even know if you needed
Cool,
number
yeah.
two. Which
I
gets-
did. I think it also speaks to just music as a whole, like as an industry right now. Like, people aren't really making money on albums.
Yeah.
And so if you can't hack it as a live musician, like, you'll be found out very quickly.
Yeah, 100%.
And like, you can't rely on the studio magic to be able to make a living. And so I think that's a good thing for music in general, is that you've got to get musicians who know what they're doing.
Yeah, the one of my favorite things that I've seen from a live musician, like, I do not remember who it was from. It might have been like Motorhead or somebody like that. Who sings that one song? Anyway, it was a heavy ass band, not a Lamb of God, but somebody like that. Dude, shaved head, and there's some dads that brought their daughters, and their daughters are wearing Taylor Swift shirts, and they bring them up on the stage, and they kind of, like, the audience is getting a little salty because of the Taylor Swift, and he shuts them down so quick. He's like, let me tell you something. Taylor Swift writes every word of music. She plays live music. Her band is there. They play live music. It's the real deal. Everything about what she's doing is good. It's just the fact that he goes, we don't play the tapes. She and her people, they play, they don't play the tapes. You all need to realize what you're talking about. Live music is live music. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. When it's true like that, and it's not that digital backing, and it's not the, because that is something that's taken DJs and things like that, which have their own thing, where it's just everything is those tracks. It takes away from the feel. So it is awesome when you have this type of thing and you make choices like that and you go, look, it's just, you can't fake the feeling when we do it with other people and other musicians, and that feeling that you create and the vibe that you create for other people. I just think the world needs it. I needed it today.
Yeah,
I needed it today.
Yeah. I've seen that clip that you're talking about.
Oh, it's a great one, man.
Yeah. It's
Who in the hell was the band? Who is it?
I can't remember either. But
Let
yeah.
the bodies hit the floor. That's
Drowning Pool.
Oh.
That's them.
Yeah. Were there?
That's who it was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
The front
look
man
like
just
it, but I'm a
shut down
metalhead.
the audience.
Shut them down. It
for,
was
like,
awesome.
Yeah.
It's just
it was.
like, and it's not about Taylor Swift. I don't listen to Taylor Swift. It's just the fact that, look,
Hey, Taylor Swift can sing, baby.
she's
That
hey,
girl, she's
I'm not,
She's
I'm not
killing it.
putting
I mean,
down.
you
She
can't
said
take that
she
away.
can write out of this world. She's an amazing writer, and has been doing it for, she's like, what, 30 and been doing it 16 years? It's crazy. I mean, plus she's a boss, dude. She re-released everything and put her in
Yeah, I mean, honestly, those moves that
Boss
she's
moves.
making in the music business are valuable. Like,
valuable.
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so for our listeners and viewers that want to follow you, find you, listen to music, see when this next record is going to come out, where can they find you?
We are called Enlightening, IN space lightning, like inside of a lightning bolt. And so, yeah, enlighteningmusic.com, at Enlightening Music on Instagram, Enlightening Facebook. Yeah, those are the best places to find us. Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, those things.
All your dates and everything on Instagram and all that?
Yep. We're pretty good about posting show dates on our social medias as well as our website. We've got some good content of this new era of the band up on our YouTube as well. Enlightening on YouTube. Maybe it's Enlightening Music as well. All the links to everything are on our website, enlighteningmusic.com. So that's a convenient find everything. I remember what my other thing I wanted to say was.
Number 2.
Yeah, it was admiration for you all, the way you've begun this show.
Oh, man.
The one, when I first saw even just the name of it, One Shot, One Mic, I was like, oh, I can't wait to do that with this outfit. Because, I'll even briefly speak on a reason that I knew to eventually prune those branches and make the decision of no drums, no guitar, was in rehearsals when some people are absent sometimes for one reason or another, and we would have no drums or no guitar at rehearsal. Man, the music still sounded so good that way that I was like, this still is a thing. So
we don't need no stinking drums.
Yeah. So anyway, it was exciting. Let's put a microphone in the middle. I just feel like we're perfect. We're perfect for this setup. Put up one mic in and let us play to it, and that's great. So
Dude,
thank you.
It was very nice to just be able to go, all right, there you go. Y'all start playing. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much for saying that. I told you earlier, I don't know how in the hell we're here. It was kind of an accident. It was just... Mostly she still lets me come down this basement and hang out and talk to people, and so thank babe.
Thank you.
No. But yeah, it is.
There's always a woman behind the.
Oh yeah, dude, I got a good one. There ain't no doubt about it. But it's people still come up. That's the thing. People still actually show up, and we get to hang out on Mondays and listen to some good music and have some good conversations. We've been super fortunate, man, and I feel lucky to have the relationships that I've developed and meet the people that I've been able to meet in this room and at the first studio down the road. And, the bonds that I've created with Brad, who will be here actually next Monday, I think he'll be in this room for the first time in a little while, co-hosting with me. And then, of course, Earl and Spencer. And so it's been awesome. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I tell you what, if anybody wants to follow us, please do subscribe at Top Hill Recording on both Instagram and YouTube. YouTube's a big one. That would be awesome. You can check us out at tophillrecording.com. Until next time, thank you all so much. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.